Hey, welcome on in. It is time for Three Guys Before the Game, -1. So it's kind of like two guys before the game in studio, but then you, the listener, become the third guy through the transitive property. You know what that is. Remember, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. So if you have two guys here plus a listener, that becomes three guys before the game. You with me?
I was. I don't know if that was proper application of that, though, was it?
Probably not. I just thought it sounded good and wanted to roll with it. In other words, Hoppy's not here. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the fine folks at the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in the state of West Virginia. That's right, forever. That's a long time. You buy it there, and the warranty lasts forever. Located in Winfield, visit them at burdettcamping.com. Three Guys Before the Game is also brought to us by GoMart. Go for good times. You go for GoMart. Check out and get and sign up really super easy for their rewards card at gomart.com. You go there. And you get that rewards card, then you start cashing in on savings, gas, snackos, hydration. Get yourself a big bag of trail mix, big bag of chips, marshmallow pie, half a keg of Mountain Dew. Got it all for you there. Check it out at GoMart. You know who they are. They know who you are. Sign up and get those rewards by visiting the website. GoMart. Go for good times, go for GoMart. Three Guys is also brought to us by the superfine folks at Comax Business Systems. Visit them at comaxwv.com. Now, what do? They make you sleep like a baby. I mean, like a baby. And what do I mean by that? Well, you have stress if you're a business owner. You go, are we all right? Are we safe here on our IT? Are we good with our phones? Are we good here? Is everything taken care of? You don't have to stress it. Don't have to be nervous about it. They'll come in, they'll manage your IT, they'll manage your voice, plus unbelievable selection of any kind of gear you need inside of an office. If you ask really, really hard, probably got a ditto machine back there, but they do a little bit more of a high-tech thing.
A what?
Ditto machine. Remember that? You have that ditto machine?
I think that might have been a little bit before my time.
Really? Oh, yeah. The print was purple, and they'd come out like a hand crank on the thing. They'd come out, and there was chemicals in that thing. I mean, kids were just getting high. First graders just going down through the ditto machine. But anyway, Comax has stuff that doesn't use a ditto machine. Visit them at comaxwv.com. So let's jump in. Here's the format. We're going to break down last night's game between West Virginia and the Baylor Bears. Later, we will look ahead to Saturday's noon date with the Sooners of Oklahoma. And then we will do text questions and comments. And as I said, Kirchenbaum's not here. He is doing other assigned duties at the state capitol. And we'll have to figure it out going forward for the rest of the basketball season, because he's going down there and doing his show Wednesday, Thursday. It doesn't come back until late Thursday. So the issue that we have is, do we wait until Friday morning to record and then the game's Saturday? So in other words, there would have been like this 2-day break if we waited until Friday to recap Baylor and then preview Oklahoma, but then Oklahoma would only have a shelf life of about 20 hours before the game's played. So this is so in other words, if that's our biggest concern and worry, we're having a pretty good life. Unfortunately, that's not our biggest concern and our biggest worry.
So what may happen, that it may shift. There may be some Thursday episodes that come out. There may be some Friday episodes. So as we've said, just subscribe or follow, and it's in your feed.
Yeah, so I heard this on another podcast that I listened to this week, and this is the best way to do it, and that is just as you said. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. you won't get like inundated with any kind of messaging or text or stuff, someone playing press coverage up in your face. Just hit subscribe. Then you'll get the episode when it's released. That's one. That's not only on our podcast sources, so Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, whatever it is that you're listening to, Google Podcasts, although that's really never materialized well, and subscribe there. But here's the other piece of it. Our YouTube growth has been really good. We didn't really do anything with YouTube for a long time. We've been doing this for 5 years. We've probably only got serious about YouTube maybe in the last 4 months, I would say. So now we're noticing the numbers are going like really climbing nicely. I have no idea why. I really, in all seriousness, would like to know why people do go there, but that's totally cool. So here's the offer that I make you. We don't charge you anything for this unbelievable content, right? Fair statement?
Fair.
Fair. And it costs you $0 to subscribe, but it helps our algorithms. It helps our growth. So if you would take it into the kindness of your heart, just click subscribe. You'll never miss, and we'll continue to grow so that we can just, I don't know what it all means, but we'll just continue to grow the show. We've got plans for the show. Not going to be an 800th episode, but we do have plans for the show.
No, it won't be 800.
That's not happening. And before we jump into the game, for those of you that were with us last weekend and sampled Hoppy's beer, it's getting really good reviews, about a 3.82 rating on Untapped, which I guess is the de facto place where people rate beers.
Is that on a scale of 4 or 5?
Mm-hmm.
4.
So a 3.82 is really, really good. And starting today, it's Thursday, this beer now is going to be available in other locations. We've got one location outside of North Central West Virginia. They're bringing it in on a mule. I mean, we got a mule. It's bringing it down to Greenbrier County. And it's going to be at the Beer Garden?
Briar Garden.
The Briar
I
Garden.
hope we're saying that right. Briar Garden in Lewisburg.
Spell it.
BRIERGARTEN.
It'll be there this weekend. So enjoy. It's also available here in our area. Tap room. That means that's over near the Alumni Center. So those people that work over the Alumni Center, they can go have a couple.
Excellent.
Over near the hospital right there. The tap room's right near the hospital too.
Okay.
It's going to be available at the iconic location of Gene's Beer Garden, Kegler's, Black Bear, Lefty's, Big Sandy, Von Blaze, and across from the football stadium, the Varsity Club.
That's pretty good coverage.
Yeah. Again, limited run, so jump on up and get it. All right. So here we go. Last night, West Virginia and Baylor, both teams 0-3, badly needing victory. And West Virginia comes out and shoots extremely poorly in the opening half to the number of 32% from the field, 32. 8% from three, 1 of 12. Made their free throws in the first half. Despite all of that, probably should have gone into the locker room down only by 3 points because they went down by 6 after Keontae George, the freshman from Baylor, hit a shot that was in the top, definitely, it'll be in the top 3 most difficult shots of the season that I think I will see. Emmett Matthews guarded him as well as he could guard him without fouling him. And my man goes in the corner and just corks one.
And was so far in the corner as you were watching, you almost couldn't see him. There's people, there's the bench, there's a defender. You almost couldn't see where he was.
He was so far in the corner that after he released it, he turned his neck, took a drink from the fountain. You know that fountain that sits right there? He just took a drink from there. He just went like that and took it. That's how far back he was.
True.
So anyway, they go up 6. And West Virginia goes, okay, fine. Down 6, here we go. Second half, the game ramps up significantly on offense. Consider that West Virginia scored 27 points in the first half. They almost doubled their output in the second half. They scored 51. But Baylor also kicked it up offensively. They go from 33 in the first 20 minutes to 50 in the second half. They win the game, as you know by now, 83-78. So now we'll pull it apart, give you some thoughts on what happened, and then we're going to go back and we're going to talk about what we said were the keys to the game when we did our show on Monday and see if, in fact, keys to the game mattered or did not matter. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do so much that they just scream at you and you go like, whoa, how'd they know that? Well, they know that. All right. So give me your thoughts.
So I think start with the guy you just mentioned in Keontae George. So you said that correctly. We'll drill down, and there's a bunch of different offshoots of this, of things that West Virginia showed you some flashes that are good signs moving forward. There were some flashes of things that weren't good again, that continue to crop up, that at this point I think it's safe to say you're going to have to be concerned about every game moving forward. Let's start with this, though. The best player on the floor last night was the best player. Follow me there? Here's what I mean by that.
Excuse me?
The best player, the most talented guy in that gym last night was the best player in Keontae George.
So we didn't have anyone that just went off on a one-night heater.
It was the guy that you would say going into the game as we did, you have got to watch out for this guy, and his hugs and that staff did. It's not as if West Virginia walks out of there last night going, hey, who was that guy? Who was that guy, right? I mean, he was the focus of the game plan. It's not always that the best player has the best game, and that was the case last night. Keontae George was just better than everybody else on the floor and then came through, hit big shot after big shot after big shot. That was one. Number two, you correctly identified it. Even though the cold streak was in the first half, I thought that set a difficult tone for West Virginia, having to battle back each time. And it felt to me as if West Virginia's scoring at times was so much more difficult than when Baylor needed a basket and those guards could hit a shot, namely Keontae George. We saw the missed free throws pop up again at critical times. It was better overall percentage-wise, but, man, you cannot, in a close game down the stretch with your best free throw shooters on the line, come up empty, was it 2 or 3 different times with 2 shot foul attempts and get no points in a game that's a 1 or 2 point game. Just can't have that. Those are when you have to make it. So there was some progress. There were some things that were better, but ultimately just not enough good to get through and get a win against, all due respect to Baylor, Tony, as we said going into this probably isn't the national championship level Baylor team you've seen. That, to me, that Baylor game right there is going to go to one of those at the end of the season where you look back and call that a gettable game.
Right.
Kansas State in Manhattan, that was a gettable game. Last night, in my opinion, was a gettable game, and you let it get away.
Mm-hmm. And we'll do that math coming up in just a little bit as to why these games are so important so early, despite the fact that you still have 14 league games to go. The reality of it is that 7 more of those are on the road, and West Virginia has not won on the road this season, obviously 0-2. Last season, 0-9.
Yeah, you're just backing yourself into a corner here. It's going to be a math problem here pretty soon.
Yes, exactly right. Okay.
Well, real quick, can I back up what I said? That's not me just bloviating about that's a game you should have got. Can I give you some numbers to back that up?
Mm-hmm.
Shot quality is an interesting site out there if you like these numbers. Shot quality. Find it on Twitter. They will oftentimes, you could subscribe to their service and get this every game if you want. They also put games each night after the fact out on Twitter, and they call it the shot quality upset or not, where you go through, and they without boring you too much with the details, they go through and chart and rate the quality of shots you're getting. What's a good shot? Open 3 versus a contested 2, all of that stuff. Won't bore you with the details. Here's what they said following last night's game. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
The actual score was Baylor 83, West Virginia 78. The shot quality score, based on the quality of shots taken for each team, should have been, in their opinion, based on the analytics, West Virginia 83, Baylor 78. Based on the quality of shots each team took, Baylor wins that game 36% of the time. West Virginia wins it 64% of the time. Some specific numbers. Keontae George was expected to score 8 fewer points than what he did. West Virginia was expected to get 5 more points on mid-range shots than what it did. Seth Wilson was expected to score 5 fewer points. So you got a plus there.
Mm-hmm.
Baylor was expected to score 4 fewer points on three-pointers based on what they had done to that point heading into the season. So analytically, West Virginia certainly had a winnable game in front of it and just couldn't close the deal.
Yeah.
Probably makes you feel worse, not better, but winnable game. We said going into this stretch, especially the first 5, there were going to be coin flip games, and you had to come out on the right side of those coin flip games if the goal was to at least get to 500 in this league and get to the tournament. That, in my opinion, now there's 2 of them, Kansas State and Baylor, that have both landed the other way. You called heads, and they both landed tails. Agree with that? Disagree with that?
Totally agree with it. Doing a little math here. Last night, West Virginia for the game shot 38% from the field. 38. Not good enough. 38. West Virginia starters shot 29.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your reoccurring theme so far in league play, that the shooting, as we said going into the game, was dead last in Big 12 play. And I'm sure it's still dead last after last night. So you're dead last in field goal percentage. You're dead last in three-point percentage. And until that changes, we're going to get into texts in a little bit, and people are going to ask a lot of questions and wonder, hey, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? Well, the biggest answer is going to be nothing is going to change significantly until you shoot the ball at a percentage which is needed to win. Now, I know that kind of sounds matter of fact, but you can sit here and bang your head, but when you shoot 38 for a game and your starters shoot 29%, it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Let me add to that, because I've used this number before. Now it's something we have to look at each game. Second chance field goal percentage, right? So you've missed the shot. Okay, fine. West Virginia's missing a bunch of shots. Go get the offensive rebound, which it's been better at that. That has come on lately. They've been a better offensive rebounding team. Field goal percentage on second shots last night, just 31%, which falls in the 9th percentile. The lower the number, the worse it is.
That was for last night's
percentile.
game? No. That was for all of college basketball last night.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, spread that out over the last 5 games, which includes the 4 games in the Big 12 to start.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia's field goal percentage on its second chance point is in the 1st percentile nationally. That's about as bad as you can be nationally. It's
over
a scale
5
of
games.
1 to 100. Your last 5, you're in percentile number 1. So you want to continue to look for things where there can be some improvement. Yes, you've got to make more shots from the field. Yes, you've got to hit some of these three-pointers that you can't continue to make. But my God, you have to be able to put the ball back when you do the work and get the offensive rebound. There was a big moment last night. West Virginia had 3 cracks at it. Couldn't get it to fall.
How many times did we say, kind of tongue-in-cheek through the years, West Virginia's best shot is its second shot?
No question. West Virginia lived on that for years.
Would miss, get the rebound, put it up and in. Right? Devin Williams, Derek Culver, Oscar Sheboy, fill in the blank.
Jonathan Holton,
Nate
Adrian.
Nate
Adrian.
Adrian.
Guys
They'll
after
get the
guys
second
after
chance.
guys.
Go ahead, put it up, put it in. Okay, so your first one didn't go, but your second one. And it's still playing true that they're getting their hands on it. But as you said, last 5 games, 99% of the teams in the country are scoring better on second chance opportunities than the Mountaineers.
Are shooting a higher field goal percentage on second chance opportunities
It's a
than
higher percentage.
WVU. So part of what, when Huggs is losing his mind about the close to the basket and we can't make shots close to the basket, I mean, he's dead on. Again, as I often say with these numbers, a lot of times you can uncover some things. Other times they just back up what you're seeing. Right? You probably didn't need me to give you that shooting percentage, but it puts it in some context of just how much that's been a struggle for this team.
Baylor has been known through the years for being a really good defensive team. And they're okay, but they're not what they were. They're not what they were. It's not close to what they were. I mean, if you were to talk to the Baylor people, which I did before the game, they say that's the biggest thing. It's like we're not there yet defensively.
So let's dive in. That's a good point. Let's go back and look at Monday's keys to the game and see what mattered, because the first one is what you just said. We led with number one key is you're going to have to score on this team, because why?
They're going to score.
Here's the line. Baylor's defense isn't at the level it's been the last couple of seasons. That the numbers showed you that. That was key number one. Take advantage of their defense not being what it's been the last couple of seasons. You scored 78 points. The Bears come out of that game with a defensive rating in the 19th percentile for that game. So you want another thing added to the stack of it was a gettable, winnable game? It was there. You're right. Their defense isn't what it's been. You had an opportunity there by putting up nearly 80 points on them to get the win. Key number two, free throw line will be a key again. We said on Monday, both teams coming into this game get to the line and put other teams on the line. There's going to be a lot of free throws in this game, was the quote we used on Monday. 69 combined free throw attempts by the two teams. West Virginia had more made free throws than it had made field goals. And I've continued to say that. This team and program live offensively at the free throw line. They have for a number of years. They've got to continue to do that. You have to have an edge at the free throw line. You're going to get there more than most of your opponents. Almost every team you play, you're going to get to the line more. You have to outscore them there. Nearly 1/3 of West Virginia's points came at the free throw line last night. But it was some critical misses late by WVU. The percentage was better last night. You got the guys that you need at the line to the line. But those critical misses we just talked about, missing both ends or both shots in a 2 free throw possession twice down the stretch, that's killer.
It's 4 points.
You just can't do it. You just can't do it. The fouling late tipped the scales here a little bit, but it gave Baylor a plus 4 points at the free throw line. So one tenet of West Virginia's game plan, every game is going to be you've got to outscore the other team at the free throw line. You didn't. And when you're struggling to shoot and you're searching for points, it's been the free throw line where West Virginia breaks through. It got there last night. It got the attempts. It got the guys to the line it wanted, but it couldn't win the battle of points at the free throw line. That's two. And number three was defend the three. We talked about Baylor coming in, taking nearly 50% of its shots were from three-point land. You did a better job. You got them off the line at times. They shot nearly 40% from three, which is not as good as Kansas shot it, but still very good. I mean, you can't allow a team to shoot 40% from three on you. 69th percentile for the game.
Boom, boom, boom.
So there's more things that we can drill down, but those three things we had to go through, and you really didn't take advantage on any of those three.
83-78, the final. Baylor had the lead for 31 minutes. West Virginia had the lead for 4 minutes, but it was there for the taking. So WVU now falls to 0-4 in league play, 10-6 overall as they head into Oklahoma. Sooners have some new faces. Sooners have some familiar faces. The Groves brothers, now into their 18th season of college basketball. I think the Groves played with the Lopez brothers at Stanford, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so bust us down here. Oklahoma was a whisker away from beating Kansas the other night, up 10, late. Kansas comes back. Oklahoma's record at this point doesn't make you go like, oh, my goodness, but it looks like they're improving. Looks like they're getting better with each outing, gelling, as they say. All right, what do we know?
I don't love this matchup. I'll just start with that. We've said this before about the Oklahoma team. I'm going to come back to this, but they don't put you on the free throw line.
Yeah, same thing as last year.
Same thing under Lon Kruger. They just don't put teams on the free throw line. So given what I just said about free throw shooting and West Virginia's reliance and importance that plays in their offensive game, that concerns me a little bit. You're getting a team here that's solid both offensively and defensively. top 45 in offense and defensive efficiency. They're better defensively if you're picking a strength between the two ends. They're one of the slowest teams in the country. They are not going to run on you. They are going to be deliberate. They're 329th out of 361 teams in pace. So this is going to be slow, probably a lower scoring game. Does that help West Virginia? We'll see. They have only scored 70 or more in 3 of the 10 games versus Power 6 conference teams, because you put the Big East in when you're talking Power 5 or 6 in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So they've only got to 73 times, 30% of the time against Power 6 opponents. Probably going to be lower scoring. Here's the concern. They've held 7 of 16 opponents on the season, nearly half of their opponents, to scores in the 50s. Part of that's because they don't put you at the line. They're not giving you free points. So the question becomes, for a team that is struggling to score in West Virginia and hasn't shown an ability to lock the other team down defensively, can you get enough points against these guys to get a win? Can you go win 56-54? Can this West Virginia team, is it built or constructed or able to win if this thing gets ugly and is down in the low 60s or 50s?
Right.
Now, here's one bit of good news. They don't hit the offensive boards very well, one of the worst in the country, 336th. But they keep you off the glass, 33rd in defensive rebounding. So again, you're going to get maybe one shot at this. The offensive rebounding.
That's fine, because we're not making a second chance.
You're not. You're not making the first ones either.
So the scariest thing you just hit us with there is this one. We talked about how West Virginia, with this team and over the last bunch of years, relies on getting to the free throw line, and that's where a large piece of its offense comes from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to play a team.
Stop real quick. 17th in the country in that category is West Virginia in its free throw rate. The amount of free throws it takes comparative to the amount of field goal attempts it's taking. West Virginia lives at the line and generally comes out ahead when it gets to more free throws in the game.
Okay. So now, statistically, you're not going to get to the line. So now where are your points going to come from? That's why you say, I don't like the matchup.
Right.
That's why I don't like this, because you're not going to be able to get to the line.
They're defensively focused. They don't allow second shots, and they don't put you on the line. Now, they're not as high up in that category as they were under Lon Kruger or last year, but they're still top 125 in not putting you on the free throw line. So maybe you get a crew that's going to call it close and you catch some breaks, but you're also on the road. Where do you get the points? Someone's are going to have to hit. It's just down. You've got to make shots.
Yeah. They run patient offense, which can lull you to sleep. I mean, I watch them against Kansas. A lot of super spread. They super spread you out. They do a lot of things with dribble handoff, dribble penetration, almost weave-like stuff to force you to guard with the floor spread, and then, boom, they pop you. Pass the ball well. Yeah. You have to bring a tremendous amount of intensity offensively, defensively in this team. These are one of these guys that they'll beat you if you're not fundamentally sound. They can make you look silly. They can make you look silly with cuts.
And so Tanner Groves, you mentioned, one of the Groves brothers, has been there. What'd you say, 18 years ish? 17.
He has a rather loud. Well, he's got a beard. I don't think his beard's better than yours as far as density goes.
You get older, you lose a little density there.
Okay.
That happens.
Fine. Yeah, right now he's got
better color.
Younger.
He's not as gray.
Yeah.
He'll be a tough matchup here because he's going to bring you outside.
Mm-hmm.
So what's Jimmy Bell do?
Yes.
Does Jimmy Bell come out with him? Does Jimmy Bell not play as much?
Right.
Do you have to go more Mo Wagee,
mm-hmm.
which I know there's been some defensive challenges. Huggs has talked about that. Athletically, probably yes, because Groves is going to pull you out. But how does that change the lineups for West Virginia? What is it able to do? He's really good. He'll step out and shoot a three, but he'll also stick it from in the paint.
Yes.
He's in the 96th percentile with his field goal percentage inside the paint, so he can get you both ways.
We've lauded Trey Mitchell through the season for his footwork and his ability to gets shots off in the lane, drop steps, and does a really nice job with his feet. Groves is in that same category. Really nice fluidity in his movement around the basket. And, kind of like Mike and Drill-esque. You know, the Mike and Drill, you probably did the Mike and Drill even though you were guard. You probably did, right?
Left side, right side,
Left side, right side. Yeah, exactly. Left, right. That he's that kind of a guy. They're just like, okay, I'll find a way to get it up there and score it. Okay, well, that certainly made no one happy, unless you're from Oklahoma.
Tough matchup.
All right. TCU after Oklahoma, and then Texas next weekend.
Also, this is becoming a, not daily, but a every show update. You want to look at the Ken Palm projections moving forward?
Yeah, what's Ken have him after last night?
That was one you gave back.
Yeah.
His site had a projected win for West Virginia. You've now fallen to a projected 7-11 in conference, 7-11.
So he's dropped it down.
He's got this as a 2-point loss at Oklahoma.
What was the best he ever had him? 9-9?
9.
He had him at 9-9. Then
I think that's right.
Then it went to 8. Then now it's at 7.
I think that's right.
And 7 gets you out of the NCAA tournament.
It's interesting. He's got it projected as a win against TCU at home. You're going to have your hand full with the Horned Frogs. I mean, I know there's time to get to that. I watched them again last night against Texas, and just a couple points of looking ahead at a couple upcoming West Virginia opponents. There is really talented basketball players on both of those teams. Those are dudes that you're not uglying up that game and thinking you're going to win. That's guys that can just space and play basketball and make shots on both ends. Mm-hmm. And Texas is different. They've changed their identity now with no Chris Beard. They're more get up and down, and we're going to score with you. We're not trying to win this game in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So both of those games, once you get through Oklahoma, you've really got your work cut out for you against TCU and Texas.
Marcus Carr from Texas is an absolute assassin.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
I mean, last night when he just stepped back and hit that shot, just like he was not having a great shooting, I said, fine, I'll take it, because that's who he is. He's just an absolute assassin.
And we'll say the same thing about Mike Miles. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a reason Mike Miles was preseason player of the year. If you watch him, you're like, that's a dude. Mm-hmm. That kid can play. And each of them have multiple pieces. It's not like you contain Carr and you beat Texas, or you contain Miles and you beat TCU. So as we continue to say, this league gets no easier, but West Virginia needs to quickly figure out what it is. I mean, that's the other part, Tony. You sit here and you say, okay, tell me right now what it is that West Virginia does better than anybody else, and how's it going to get wins? You've been able to do that. When West Virginia is good, there's a clear identity in what it's able to do. I don't feel like I've figured that out yet with this team.
Agreed. The other thing about it is, if you're going to do well in this league, you have to have guys that are going to be named to the all-conference teams, right? You got to have guys. When West Virginia's had success in this league, was Deuce McBride honored?
Yep.
Derek Culver honored, right? If you don't have those guys, chances are you don't have good seasons. It's just plain and simple. You have to have guys that are among the best.
And here's the thing. There's a couple of those guys that on this West Virginia team that have the ability and have that look. And two of them are Mitchell and Stevenson. Here's what I would submit to you going forward for the rest of the season. You ready? Those two, one of those two has to be the guy that takes the most shots from the floor each game for you to have a chance. And I know last night was a little bit different because both were in foul trouble at times and fouled out early, so that limited some of the shots they were going to get. You have got to force feed Mitchell, and you've got to get Stevenson back on track. You have to. Now, I liked the wrinkle last night that they threw in with Kedrian Johnson coming to the high post as a distributor. That was a new wrinkle I don't remember seeing before. Johnson comes to the high post. They enter it into him. There were a couple times he either can take you off the dribble, look to kick it out, or post up Trey Mitchell down inside when he had a size advantage. I like that little wrinkle. So I know they're trying to do some new things there, but in my opinion, you have got to get the ball into Mitchell, force him to be aggressive on the offensive side, and live or die with those two taking your shots.
Yeah. To your point on Kedrian Johnson, 6 assists, 1 turnover last night. But the reality of it is, in the 4 league games statistically, West Virginia, 37% as a team from the field, giving up 44%. From three-point range, 26%, allowing 35%. Free throw line, 62%. Other teams are shooting 73. 47 assists, 53 turnovers, -6 in that category. Averaging 69 in league games, giving up 77. So while you sit here and you say, you know, we left the 2 there against Oklahoma State and Kansas State, and you left the one last night that was there for the taking. Statistically, you're 0-4 because of these numbers. And just a small switch in these numbers. Take your 38% that you're shooting from the field. Make it 41. Go up 3%. You're not 0-4. Take the 26% you're shooting from 3 and say you're going to shoot 30%, which isn't great, but you know what? You wouldn't be 0-4. And until those numbers change, you're going to get more of the same.
Well, same thing with the free throws. I mean, you just find a couple more free throws in a couple of these games, and you're sitting 2-2 in the league, which you're not overly ecstatic about, but you're looking around going, okay, we're on track.
Right.
We're on track for that 9-9 we need to try and hit.
Correct.
Now you're buried in the hole looking up, and you're digging deeper trying to say, okay, where are the wins on this schedule? Where are they coming from?
Time now for Textual Healing. Brought to us by the hottest new craft beer in the state of West Virginia. It's Hoppy Kirchhoff Ale. If you haven't had a Hoppy yet, you need to. Hoppy Kirchhoff Ale, available in a limited offering at the Apothecary Ale House, Chestnut Brew Works, the Tap Room in Morgantown, Jean's Beer Garden, or you can get yourself a Frankfurter as well, Kegler's, Black Bear, Lefties, Big Sandy, Von Blaze, and the Varsity Club. Drink a Hoppy Kirchhoff Ale.
Don't forget about the Briar Garden.
Oh, yeah, the
Breer
Briar
Gar-
Garden in
Breer
Lewisburg
Garden?
for our Lewisburg contingent. We had a couple people come up to the event from Lewisburg.
Yeah, great area.
Greenbrier County natives. Yeah. All right, let's do some textual healing.
Will it be healing?
No. More misery. That's okay. Start off with football, because as you know on this show, there is no order. Gentlemen, Tony, TCU, so he took a shot at me. Gentlemen and Tony. So just right off the bat.
That's how this is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, you didn't comment there. I know you brought your little thermos of coffee there that you brought.
Didn't you?
I've got my own little
What are you drinking?
thermos of coffee.
What do you don't
Over
have?
here, I don't need to provide free
No.
advertising there.
What do you got in there?
A little,
A coffee type drink?
not like you're thinking. Just a coffee. My wife makes it.
Oh yeah,
Right.
but it's coffee related. It's not like a big. It's not like a
No,
Fresca.
No. Oh no, it's coffee.
Okay.
The only the only thing you would snicker at, because you try and coffee shame, I do have, wife might make the best homemade whipped cream in the world.
Oh really?
World. Don't get it very often.
Yeah.
Had it this week and have a little bit of that in there.
Well, that's good. I'm trying to stop shaming people. That's my New Year's resolution.
Good.
Food related things. I'm just
Good.
my
Coffee,
new.
just let
my-
people do what they want to do.
Yeah, my new thing is like,
Yeah.
hey man, if you like that, that's totally cool.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. TCU was 5-7 last season. Currently competing for a natty. TCU and West Virginia have had comparable seasons over the last decade. Did you see this coming due to TCU's portal action or returning starters? Is this reason for optimism for the Mountaineers in 20 and 23? No. Never saw it coming. You had no idea. I mean, consider this, right? Max Duggan wasn't the starter. He wasn't the starter. He's a Heisman finalist. They weren't going to start him. So, like, no one saw this.
Well, not no one. The betting community was all over TCU.
To what level, though?
To not a national championship,
Okay.
but very good, like win the Big 12 level. And you talk about a miss. I'm listening to those people, and what are you talking about? No, that's not the case. I mean, you talk about a bad misread by me too. So there was some buzz around this, a Big 12 championship type of season. It's really amazing. It's a great question, and I think the last part is this reason for optimism. Stop right there. I think yes, it gives college programs optimism. That's an advantage. You bring in some key pieces, you get some new voices, some new blood, you get some bounces and some luck that falls your way, and you have a magical season. I don't know what the formula is that you can replicate that, though, right? I mean, that's a hard formula. You start to dissect them. They had some pieces in place that were really working to their advantage. So I don't know how repeatable it is,
Right.
but it really is a remarkable story.
It comes down to players, right? So Duggan plays at the most elite level. Quentin Johnson is an absolute super stud. Davis is a stud. Miller is a stud. They had players.
But they also had those guys before.
Yeah, I know.
The Duggan one is the most interesting because we've watched him over the years, and he was a 4-star coming out of Council Bluffs, Iowa. There was Max Duggan, wait till you see Max Duggan, wait till you see. And Max Duggan, he went, okay. 4-year starter, right? Good kid, okay, fine. He wasn't this. How did he all of a sudden become this?
Because he's got the heart of a frickin' lion.
But the heart didn't change from sophomore to junior to senior.
It
Is it
matures.
just reps?
The heart matures.
Is it just better? Is it guys around you? Quentin Johnston, obviously a key.
Yeah, it matures.
Tremendous story.
I did not check with our producer, Taylor. We have this new system that we created where when we get a graphic sent to us on the text line, we're using super high level transfer. And I didn't say, hey, did you get the images that I sent? So this next text has an image. It may or may not show. If it doesn't, we will rip. Oh, there it is. Gentlemen, hello. I sure hope Hugs has the ability to fix it. Is way more successful than Brad's ability to fix it. Signed by Curtis in Portland. Shout out to Walt in San Antonio, Texas for the graphic. So there you go.
That's pretty good, Walton.
Hey,
A good one, Curtis, and good graphic there by Walt. That's a nice little Photoshop job there.
Yeah, and that answers the question that Taylor is on the ball with the graphics. Texter, in hindsight, don't you think the coaching staff would have picked up another player instead of Jose if there was any hint he wouldn't be cleared for the Big 12 schedule? I think that's what everyone is overlooking. Huggs was thinking he fixed it, but not getting another scorer is equivalent to losing a major contributor to a season-ending injury. They knew they needed more firepower to compete, which is why they were still looking in September. Steve in Tennessee.
You correct me if I'm wrong. My take on this is, and thanks, Steve, I see why you would say that. My take was that was a flash sale that they weren't anticipating, and it was too good to pass up.
Yes.
I really don't need that extra quarter zip from Phil's, but he's offering it for 75%. God darn, I got to take that. They weren't necessarily looking,
Yes.
but it was available, and it came about abruptly. They had to take it.
Correct.
Is that right?
100%.
Okay.
That's exactly what that was. They thought they had enough offense. But when Jose Perez comes available, they went like, oh, okay. They weren't going like, oh, my gosh, we need someone else now. They were going like, yeah, let's pick this up. We haven't even talked about that, but obviously the Jose Perez decision has come, and now you just don't know whether he stays and plays next year or if he goes and plays professionally. Just a thought. Don't know how it's going to go. They still have the option. Someone has the option if they'd like to sue, file for an injunction, but there's a whole lot that goes on in that. Because then if you do get an injunction, they grant him eligibility, and then you play him, and then eventually you keep losing with the NCAA, then you would have to vacate wins if he played. So you got all that. But to the other point, if he stays for next season, he could probably make a nice chunk in NIL. What's a nice chunk? Probably more than he could if he went overseas to play. So you have to think about that as well.
We spent some time last night on Sportsline talking about that exact issue, and I think here's where the NIL creates a different opportunity for schools like West Virginia. Instead of we always just sit around, oh, you don't have the money to compete with a Georgia, you can't pay what Georgia's going to play. I think these are the significant moments here, and to that point, if you could start next season's class with Jose Perez on your roster, you feel pretty good, right? That's a bona fide scorer on a team that's going to lose some offensive firepower as much as they've been struggling offensively. We know what these guys make a lot of times when they go overseas in the first year or so. There's absolutely a chance NIL-wise to match or make a little bit more than that. So a guy like Jose Perez that 3 years ago would have to make the decision to go pro can now sit back and entertain that. That may become way more of a possibility than it has been at any other time.
Texter. Hey, three guys, I've heard what many have suggested, that Hugs should add to the staff to do better the odds of not blowing a double-digit lead or allow themselves to lose control emotionally and cost us a comeback. Roll the tape back, about 1983, take a page from Jimmy Valvano. He held one practice every year without any basketballs. All they do is bring the ladder out and practice cutting the nets down. Gold scissors, the whole thing. These guys will never play team basketball if they never feel what they're playing for. No NCAA player was alive in '83, so show them the David versus Goliath that was NC State's complete tournament run. No other coach could get more out of his team than Jimmy V. One practice, no balls, just a ladder and some scissors. It's amazing to me the ideas that go through people's minds. And since I just, in a few moments ago, announced that I'm not shaming anyone for anything, you could do that. You could do that. But I don't even think it was, it was good at the time. But that probably doesn't do a whole lot. Probably doesn't do a whole lot. And I say, it's amazing to me what goes through people's minds. The emails and messages I've received in the last couple of weeks about people putting people's names out as potential staff additions to the Mountaineer football team as far as coordinators go and things like this. Hey, what about this person? What about that person? What about this person? And a lot of times I go like, but it happens. That's cool. Because I'm not shaming anyone for their ideas. You shut your mic off. P1 Jason in Dallas, who continues to recover from a horrific compound fracture suffered golfing. Hey, guys, hopefully by the time you read this, we'll have just listened to you guys talk about how the Baylor game got us right. Uh-oh. But in the meantime, I've got a basketball strategy question that I'll preface with some facts from the Kansas game. When Bobby Pettiford got whistled for a foul at the 12-minute mark Saturday, the score was 24-14. But the foul balance was 6 on Kansas, 0, I repeat, 0 on West Virginia. The remainder of the half, West Virginia attempts 18 field goals. Out of the 18, 13 are described as jumpers in the play-by-play. Why would the strategy at that point be anything other than go to the rim, then go to the rim some more? Then just to hammer the point home, well, on the way to the rim, you could verbally declare you're going to the rim and maybe give the rim a little kiss when you get to the rim. Then take out a notebook at the foul line and write a poem about how much you love going to the rim. After West Virginia managed to draw 6 fouls in 8 minutes, which means we're effectively in the bonus for 12 minutes, we managed to not draw another foul for 8 minutes and 21 seconds. And I don't think it was a lack of calls. I love the show.
I love that.
Apparently
I like
he wanted
declaring
them to
that
go
you're going to the rim.
Apparently he wanted them to go to the rim.
I get it.
How do you think he's doing on his rehab?
Here's one thing, though. West Virginia's at the rim field goal percentage only in the 47th percentile this season, just 63% in what is defined at the rim. Field goal percentage from mid-range twos, which is oftentimes described as not a great shot, or shot quality guys would not like that. Chris Paul's made a pretty good career out of hitting mid-range twos. Can still exist, in my opinion. But West Virginia's field goal percentage on mid-range twos, 43%, 94th percentile nationally. So if I was trying to help Jason maybe answer some of that question, is West Virginia has not been good finishing at the rim this year.
Yeah. David in Rochester, New York. I grew up in Morgantown, went to school at West Virginia. They'll always be my favorite team. When choosing a favorite pro team, I still followed West Virginia. Dallas Cowboys fan because of Chuck Howley. Lakers because of Jerry West. All right. Sure do hope that we get this basketball season turned around. Let's go Mountaineers.
That might be in response to the text we got last time about.
Yeah, I get it. I was a Cowboy fan when I was growing up. Even though I was a Bills fan, I also liked the Cowboys because I liked Grant Hill's dad, Kelvin Hill. He was a good running back. Big, strong fella. Bob Hayes, Roger Staubach,
Danny White,
Robert Newsom,
Ed Too Tall Jones,
Bob Lilly, Bob Hayes,
and Drew Pearson.
Doug in Bridgeport, Gil Brandt. I have a place in Bridgeport, and I live there. I desperately want to be in the I have land in crowd. I do have a house in Randolph County that's surrounded by 1.5 acres of land. I see 3 guys as the arbiter of all things West Virginia, so I ask, is there a minimum amount of acreage you need to own before you can be part of, I've got land in crowd?
Good question.
I'll abide by your decision. I don't think 1.5 acres does it.
Oh, see, I think it does.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
I just think anything that's not in your home county where you reside,
and you own a piece of property,
is the only thing.
Okay, you're in.
Like, we can't say we own land. We own a house here in Mon County that we live in. That doesn't count. It's got to be a second piece of land in your non-home county.
Yeah, okay.
I think would be my rule.
Yeah, you
on
swayed
board?
me.
You on board with that?
You swayed me. Yeah, I'm good. Anyway, he finishes, I'm writing this Tuesday before the Baylor game. I'm not only one to claim an early January game as a must-win, but here we are. I think we get this one and turn the season around. Thanks always. Doug, who owns land in Randolph County. John in Charleston. You 3 have already missed it. Are you kidding me? All Jayhawks, your listeners and viewer is almost wanting all Kercheval and the whole Friday event. 3 clowns are off the tracks from the start.
Was that kind of where we're going with the season?
Yeah.
That the highlight there would have been the Kercheval event rather than the basketball game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scope
You're probably
Center.
right, John. Good point.
Scope Center, hoppy. After listening to you guys talk about the virtual game experience, I got Santa to bring me one of those virtual gaming devices, the Oculus. Based on your advice, I got that boxing game, and I use it a lot. It's quite a workout. After I lost a match, I was upset with my trainer as he wasn't giving me much encouragement. Then I discovered I could punch him too. He has been doing a much better job since that incident. I love the show, and 800 isn't that far away. Paul from Fincastle. Well, let me tell you something, Paul. When I read that for the first time, I laughed. I outwardly laughed because here's why.
Have you tried it?
You have no idea how many times I've punched the trainer right in under the belt.
Well, you friggin' guys. It's not the trainer. I mean, this is the same. It's not the trainer's fault you guys are getting pummeled.
I know.
You guys do better.
But he's so close.
You and Paul do better.
So he's close, so close. So he's real close to you. So I just go up, and I just go, bam! And he goes like this. That's what he goes. He goes.
Here's the thing. I have not done it nearly as much as you nor Paul. But the look that he gave me the first time that made me jump when the trainer first appears, and that look he has, I wouldn't be screwing with that guy.
He doesn't punch back, though.
Well, you don't know that yet. At some point, you're going to find that.
Here's the other thing, Paul. Let me ask you this. How many times when you're waiting for a decision from the official, from the ref, do you walk over? You know, you can do this too. Walk over to the guy that you just fought, and you can punch him right in the face, and he doesn't do anything. But it still makes the same sound like you're fighting. So you can go over to like Ugly Joe. If you just fought Ugly Joe and you're waiting for the decision, you walk over because you're hot and you're sweating, and you just go over and just bam him a couple of times.
You are like a 6-year-old at times.
There's no question. I don't deny that. Charlie from Midlothian. As I reflected on your philosophical walk in Oklahoma regarding having a free throw guru, I'm sending an example of my credentials in case I decided to submit my resume. Congratulations to Hoppy, the successful introduction of his beer. In spreads speak, given the data points you shared, it's Ken Palm would rank in the 95th percentile.
Very good, Charlie.
Yeah.
And it would.
I also want to say hello to Nathan in Chesterfield. I'm assuming that Chesterfield, but Midlothian is also in Chesterfield County. Thanks for the entertainment. Taylor, that was the picture, the old newspaper picture. Apparently this dude, apparently that's the guy. Apparently he must have been a free, Brad, you taking a look?
Yeah, well.
So apparently Buddy Holly was a pretty good free throw shooter.
That's awesome.
With all due respect.
Yeah.
All due respect.
That's awesome.
Texter, Tony, what's the reason the NCAA gave for not allowing Perez to play? That's the piece.
Big question. What's the answer to that?
They don't.
Is someone going to answer?
They don't give you one.
Does WVU know an answer? Does the NCAA provide like that file folder that was sitting in the compliance office at the NCAA for like months and weeks? It was just sitting there. Do they close the file out with a report on the reason, or do they just come back and they just use emojis?
They have to have
like,
a
do they
reason.
send an emoji that says like it's a thumbs up and it's a thumbs down, or do they at least write in the text what the reason is?
That's a good question. I don't know. They have to give a reason.
Do they? They'll say, now they won't release it because they'll say student athlete privacy. They have to give a reason, right?
Right. Yeah, they have to because.
So what is the and I'm being serious here. I'm not going to spin around in my chair and I'm not going to lose my mind and go nuts. Even though unless there's something that is not publicly available with this is asinine. It just simply is asinine, Tony. Right? In a world where there's just absolute chaos in college sports, and coaches are on federal wiretaps talking about what was then breaking the rules,
and
nothing really happens. Why is the kid not playing? The young man. Why is the young man not playing?
I'd love to know.
Someone provide an answer to that. Because maybe there's a legitimate answer. Maybe there's a legitimate answer, and then all of us will stand down and quit screaming and hollering. But in the meantime, you got a guy that wants to play that seemingly is fitting within the rules of engagement. His coach that left is coaching again. Why is he not playing?
I'm with you. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Days are getting longer. If you have an RV, parts, sales, service, Burdett Camping. They'll take care of you. Three Guys also brought to us by Gomart. Go for good times, go for Gomart. And they will get you into their rewards program. Just visit their website, gomart.com, and get that rewards program going. You save money on gas, which is nice. And obviously, all of the delectable entrees that they have waiting for you at Gomart. Three Guys also brought to us by Comex Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. We like to hang around with people that are successful, and Comex 10 times has been named an elite dealer in the state of West Virginia by ENX Magazine, the only dealer in the state of West Virginia to ever win the award. They won at 10. Tanner in Talcott writes, Scopes.
You think that's his real name?
I do. I got a strong feeling that it is. Probably not. Scopes Senator and Spuds McKenzie. With all due respect to the texter who was annoyed at your glucking, last time I checked, this was called Three Guys Podcast. So if they want to gluck all the way from Cincinnati to Oklahoma, they can. I say this in jest, of course, no offense to the texter. In fact, I'd like to set the over-under on the number of glucks on the next episode at 14. With that being said, and after praying and much discussion with my family, dog, and the Mothman, I've decided to forego other podcasts and remain a loyal listener to Three Guys. P.S. I have land in Summers County and hope that on episode 800 that my grandkids text in and tell you about it, and that has been in the family for years. I love you guys.
It's very nice.
Appreciate it.
Won't be a episode 800.
No shot. It's going to be kind of like the Beatles when it's over.
What does that mean?
Well, they just kind of ended
Just
it.
going to go away?
It could have gone for so much longer. We're probably going to go on a rooftop somewhere in Morgantown, tape the last episode, and just walk away.
Do you think we will identify and know when the last episode is prior to recording the last episode? I'll answer first. My guess is, as unprepared as we are most times on this show, that the answer to that will be no. I mean, there's general elements of this that are organized in research. Like I pay attention to what my numbers are. Overall, the overall theme and direction of each individual episode, not a lot of direction. Fair?
Well, yeah. If we record our last episode and don't know that it's our last episode, unfortunately, that means that something probably catastrophic happened to one of us that won't allow it to have another 3 guys recording.
That was a little dark. I don't know that
But
you
it's
needed to go there. That wasn't the intent.
I'm just saying that's the reality of it. Or one of us.
Well, there could be a lot of things that develop that aren't catastrophic that just cause this to say to someone in the group to say, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, you're right.
Right? I mean, you were still living.
Yeah.
But we might just say that, okay, I'm done.
Yes, I could see that happening. I could see that part of it happening where I hope it doesn't. I mean, we've gotten along for years. I hope it isn't, just like, oh, really? Oh, really?
Probably where that might be the exact phrasing of how it starts. If you were taking a bet, that's the favorite. That's a minus price on it. Begins with, oh, really?
Yes,
or
that probably
the
is.
The second favorite behind that is, oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Followed by is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a strong possibility as well. Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to get us off track there.
No, now it's got me completely thinking about how it'll end.
I mean, in an ideal world, we know when it's ending, and there's a final celebratory look back type of episode.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite moments. What have we enjoyed?
See, the deal is though, the content, like some podcasts, they run. I mean, their story goes away. They're covering a story, and that goes away. West Virginia University athletics is not going away, right? And so that is going to be the constant.
True.
Yeah, that's probably all I need to say. So it's not going to be the lack of content. It'll probably be the lack of support that the show's gotten. Right? People not understanding what they have. It's probably what it's going to be. Now, I'm not talking about the listeners. I'm not talking about the listeners. Listeners get it. That's why the thing continues to skyrocket. But that's probably what it is. Hey, 3 guys, Kyle from Morgantown on this program, I'm sorry for the long text, has now become, with that being said, for Portal Guys. Now, with that being said, I'm sorry for the long text, but if you guys felt that the way WV runs its ball screens, not as effective as how other teams run theirs, it's well documented that we don't defend ball screens well. It looks as though our guards don't go off screens well either, leaving gaps. Many other issues at the moment, but just something I noticed. What do you guys say?
Have to start looking. I'll be honest, I haven't paid that close attention. Kyle is a basketball coach,
Yeah, I know.
Well-documented basketball coach, so appreciate the dive into the weeds there, Kyle.
I would say that ball screen conversation has been in the top 5 percentile over the last couple of years.
More defensively than offensively, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Texter, 2 things. It's clear and blue chip ratio is real. Doesn't matter if West Virginia has a dream season like TCU, it can't win the title. That you have to have 50% of your roster be 4- and 5-star recruits to win the title has been true every year of the playoff. Also, basketball. Putting a lid on Eric Stevenson's attitude has taken away his superpower. He can't score now. I told Kercheval on his coffee clutch earlier today, Eric was out of his mind at like 48% from 3 for a long chunk of the season, right? Now he's regressing toward the mean, but he went back way to the other end. He'll get back
Correct.
to where his average is. And
Correct.
where his average is going to be is where his average has been for his previous stops at other schools. That's where he'll end up being. So he wasn't going to stay at 48 from 3. He's not going to stay down to whatever it is today, low 30 or 20 something. He'll get back.
He'll come back. I'm also of the belief, as I said the other day, he got to let loose a little bit again too. If he needs to talk and run his mouth, talk and run your mouth. It's part of who he is.
Yeah, probably going there too now. Stephen in North Carolina. In-game text alert. Oh, these are always dangerous as heck. It's become apparent West Virginia simply doesn't have Big 12 talent. Unless Huggs can get better talent, it pains me to think the program is broken. Huggs' abilities to motivate, coaching style, do not seem to work anymore. Always pulling for Huggs and the Mountaineers, just very disappointing. Well, to your point, Stephen, let's just say this. We all have seen successful West Virginia basketball teams. And you can see other teams in the league that have been successful. What do they have? Broken record, right? Got to have NBA guys. West Virginia had success when Deuce was here. West Virginia had success when Javon Carter was here. West Virginia had success when Devin Ebanks, Kevin Jones, Deshaun Butler were here. Got to have NBA guys. This is not a mid-major league where you can get by without doing that. You have to have guys that will play in the NBA, and then you have to have a good handful of guys on the same team that are going to play for money professionally. That's what you have to have. So that's what you need. Keontae George is a first-round NBA pick for Baylor. Baylor had Jeremy Sochan and Kendall Brown, Wondon Dundon, and they're now in the NBA. That's what you have to have.
And Davion Mitchell.
Mitchell.
Just keep going on the list.
Yeah, just keep going. You got to have players. Jalen Wilson and Grady Dick from Kansas are NBA guys. They're doing pretty well.
That's part of why I've said earlier in the program, to me, Stevenson and Mitchell have to go now. They have to be the guys that you're force-feeding the shots because those guys are pros. They'll make money playing basketball. Trey Mitchell is supremely skilled offensively and creates a unique matchup. You've got to tell him, get him, make him. He's got to get 15 shots a game, right? He's got to be the guy that breaks you out of this with a supplement of Eric Stevenson, who obviously can get blistering hot at times.
Absolutely.
Those guys have to lead you out here.
Stephen and Eleanor. I haven't been this depressed about Mountaineers sports since 01-02. However, you know the old saying, the night is darkest right before dawn, or something like that. I really lost a lot of respect for Huggs after skipping the handshake line at Oklahoma State. I'm still searching for a valid reason. Stephen from Eleanor. Well, Stephen, I think I talked about this recently. Someone asked the same question. If you're searching for a valid reason, I don't know if you'll ever find it. He was like elite level pissed off. Whether that's valid to you or not, that's why he didn't shake hands. First time in 16 years that he hasn't shaken hands. That's why, I'm just telling you, that's my opinion. I haven't brought it up to him, haven't asked him, but he was frickin' fuming. And he just said, I'm out. Valid or not, that's what it was. Mike in Oakdale, Pennsylvania. I know you say it's never as bad as it really is, but it feels really bad right now. Why can't we seem to get over the hump? Well, because the difference between winning and losing is super small. And at this point, you're not doing those super small things that win you the game. Like at the end of the game last night, you're missing foul shots. Those are game-winning foul shots. John Beeline always used to say when they were practicing foul shots, win the game. That was their whole motto when they went to the foul line to practice shots. Win the game. Mm-hmm. Win the game. This is how we win the game. This is what's going to win the game. You got to win the game. Then win the game. Texter. Performance by Keontae George was special to watch. Can't remember a more impressive game by an opposing player at the Coliseum. That was special. That was really, really good. I mean, Andrew Wiggins, Kansas, when he went for about 200. Antonio Daniels 100 years ago from Bowling Green.
That was way up there.
That was way up there.
I mean, that was a dude.
Yeah.
Who ended up going top 5. I forget where Daniels went, maybe number 4. That's the way George. I mean, George, and again, you can see it, right? I mean, you could see how effortless George was in getting a shot, making a shot, playing. And here's the other part: does he know it? Does he know he's good? I mean, and that's not an arrogance. That's just a calm about him. Or you watch him like, give me the ball.
That's a great point. So let's just jump into that a little bit. People always wonder, why didn't this kid make it in the NBA? Why didn't this kid make it? Why is that? Okay, take Keontae George, right? What is he? They list him at 6'4", 185.
I was just going to ask you what he's listed. He's 6'4", huh?
6'4",
that's taller than I thought he was.
6'4", 185. Has a great look to his body. Is a solidly put together body, right? And he's strong, and he showed that strength. Second half, he goes into the lane and gets contact.
He can take a hit.
He just takes a hit and still finishes at the basket.
Right.
That's NBA. Ability to shoot the ball. He's got a beautiful fluid form to his shot. Really strong. And then as Brad said, what do those guys in the NBA have? They are elite level. Think of a Navy SEAL type of a mentality in scoring and succeeding in my mission, i.e. the shot at the end of the half in the corner. Like, he don't give a crap who's guarding him. That is what makes NBA players.
And I'll add to that, nor is he deferring, nor is he worried about his place, nor is he worried about, I'm only a freshman, I've got to fit in. It's just like, I'm the best player on the floor. Give me the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'll handle it.
I'll handle it. Just give it to me. That's the difference maker. Texter continues, I know Huggs is married to old school offensive schemes. Makes no sense to have any of our offensive possessions involve our bigs. They simply have no touch, no low post game to speak of. Also, Joe Toussaint doesn't see the floor well as a point guard, often gets trigger happy. Trey Mitchell, Stevenson, Emmett, and Seth Wilson need to take 80% of our shots. Texter, can't blame the referees for going 1 for 12 from 3 in the first half, shooting 30-some% at the half. One of the few redeemable moments from tonight was seeing Scopes check in for his shift at Chick-fil-A before the game. Thanks for the amazing brew, your favorite Go-Mart fly fisher. So I can't even go to Chick-fil-A now.
Did you have a shift?
He ID'd me.
Before or after?
Oh, before. I'm going through drive-thru before, and I hear, Scopes! So I messed with him. Took out my Chick-fil-A name tag that I have in my truck because they gave it to me when I did that commercial before football season started. I said, right here, buddy.
Did you then eat again when you got to the Coliseum?
No. Came home, could have ate my countertop.
Shock.
Trying to do this.
Shocker.
I'm just having some bad. So I still do the fasting thing where I don't eat until like 2 or 3 o'clock. But it's pissing me off. Because like this morning, like again, like I was about ready to eat my deodorant. I'm going, what am I doing? This is making me just miserable.
Right. So why don't stop doing it now for a while?
But I'm in a contest.
Excuse me?
I'm in a contest.
What does that mean?
Weight loss thing.
Oh, for God's sakes.
With these knucklehead guys that I know.
Ugh.
Stupid. Got to do it until March 13th.
Okay.
Got one guy cheating.
No comment. What do you mean cheating?
Cheating.
Every time, I assume it's the same group. Every time you bring this up, whether that's that bake-off thing you guys were doing, whatever that contest thing was you did, there's always cheating involved in these things.
Well, in these situations.
Is that what it was, a bake-off?
It was a bread contest. Got screwed. But anyway.
There was cheating in that,
Yeah.
allegedly.
Oh, yeah. Same guys involved in the cheating on this one.
And there's more cheating.
Yeah, so they came to me before we started in December, and they said, okay, they call me the judge. I'm the guy that makes the decisions whenever any topic comes up, and they need it. Because they're all lawyers, so they come to me as a judge. They said, would you have a problem in this weight loss thing if someone were to use a supplement or a drug during the contest. So, like, it was a passing thing. Like, I said this. I don't care. I say, cut your arm off. I don't care. Whatever you want to lose weight. Well, this guy goes in there and he's taking this stuff. Injections.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Injections.
Like not one of those pill things from GNC that you can get.
He got a hold of this stuff that 60 Minutes did a feature on. It was designed for something else, but it makes you lose weight.
Is he under doctor's supervision with this?
Yeah. So now he's going to go into the contest, basically the Lance Armstrong of the weight loss. And I'm sitting here.
Here's the thing. If you're freaking hungry, eat. There's my advice to you. Because it sounds like you're not winning the contest anyway.
Well, it's done by percentage of
We
body
got Tour de
weight.
France level injections going on here. You're not going to win anyway.
Yeah. Texter, gentlemen, I've got a question and a comment. I know there's a lot of season still left. The NCAA bid's still possible. However, it's starting to look like a repeat of last season. If we finish last in the league again, do you think this is a chance that this is Huggs' last season? I think this, and we've said this. There's no one that wants to win more than he does. And I think he has the best feel as to what it's going to take to get it turned back around. That's what I think. And he truly wants to leave this in a good position. So let's play the games out and see where the thing goes. Sean, as I still think it's time to start brewing a heck of a lot more Kercheval. The way West Virginia sports has been going recently, from Weirton to Welch, Martinsburg to Matewan, and all points in between, Mountaineer fans are going to need something to help them get through these depressing seasons. Kercheval could be the remedy. You know, that could be it. Little did we know that we would brew a beer that could put a smile collectively on the face of Mountaineer Nation.
Which I think it has. In the early portion of the non-conference season so far, it has done that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of season left for the Kercheval.
Mm-hmm. Put a big smile on Jennings Starcher's face there on Friday night over at...
Good to see Jennings.
Yeah. This basketball season, Texter writes, reminds me of the road from hell, better known as East Brockway Avenue. Everything seems fine when you're on Route 7 going through Saberton, till you hit that hairpin turn and a section of blacktop designed to test the quality of any suspension, bearings, and springs. Problem is the road maintains its dilapidated state all through South Walnut Street. Big 12 is equally as brutal as the blacktop in Morgantown. There is no reprieve.
As someone who is on that stretch of road 3 nights a week out of the 5 weekdays, he's 100% right. It is unbelievable. Can we fix that?
Probably not.
Word of warning, if you're going through that area. Don't attempt to take a sip of anything. And make sure your phone is secured somewhere or it's going to end up on the floor between your seat, under your seat. Horrific stretch, Grant. Thank you. Agree.
Texter, where's the bottom for West Virginia's 2 major sports teams? There have been some lean years in the past, but now we're stacking them consistently from year to year. Speaking of Jennings, thank you all for such a wonderful time last Friday, an event I'll never forget. Thank you, Spreads, for talking to my friends Jason and John about fixing your lawnmower. They enjoyed meeting you in Scopes. By the way, I stopped at the Go-Mart in Flatwoods, ran into the Braxton County Monster, and he said that Jack Links are better than Slim Jims. Yeah, well, you noticed how he said, I enjoyed meeting you in Scopes. He didn't say anything about Hoppy because Hoppy was out of her.
Well, and especially Jason and John, who got there like at 6:05. Kirchfield already pieced out.
Mm-hmm.
But Jennings, thank Jason and John for me. Maybe reaching out to Jason and John here at some point.
You're going to have the only drag racing John Deere lawnmower.
I have that bad boy. I'm going to get a speeding ticket on that thing.
All right. So I think court is about to close here for the day. we're going to be back on Monday, and by that time, West Virginia will have played one more against the Sooners of Oklahoma. Super quick road trip. Be a fantastic game to get. Right? Get off the schneid, as they say. Yeah. No. Why do you keep shutting your mic off?
I don't know, probably because I was sipping on my coffee. I didn't want to slurp into the mic.
Yeah. You gluck, but you don't slurp.
I'll gluck. Don't want to slurp.
Yeah. All right. So one last thing, though, because I have gotten about an inordinate number of emails on people that want to know where they can get this beer if they're not at the apothecary. Apothecary still has it. Grace does a great job there. Tap Room, Jeans, Keglers, Black Bear, Lefties, Big Sandy, Von Blaze, Varsity Club, and the Beer Garden in Lewisburg.
Well, we've totally botched that.
BRIERGARTEN.
Right, in Lewisburg.
I'm sure it's all the German people are screaming at us right now. Oh, you're supposed to pronounce it.
I think there's non-German people screaming at us right now over that too. We've totally botched that.
You're the one that screwed it up.
I'm not. Yeah, you haven't helped, but I know I'll take that.
I'd say it's probably the how'd you spell it?
BRIER Garten.
So the question becomes: is that second letter, the R, silent or not? If it's not, then it's Beer Garden.
Right,
makes sense.
Which would make some sense. But I don't know that's it.
If you say the R, then it becomes the Briar Garden
or the Breer Garden.
Yeah, beer. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It probably is the Beer Garden.
I am sure we won't get any texts on that for the next episode.
I hope
no one will correct us on that.
I hope Joe Hairbear isn't listening. He's scoffing at us.
Rightfully so.
Three Guys Before the Game, brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. By Comax Business Systems, your full-service Konica Minolta dealer. Check them out at comaxwv.com. And by our good friends at GoMart. Go for good times. Go for GoMart. Get the rewards card ready to go. Visit gomart.com. We're out. Thanks to our producer, Jonathan, Tyler County, Monroe County, Kanawha County, Harrison County, Tucker County, Jefferson County, Jingleheimer Schmidt. Out.